Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Don't Be So Brewed, the number 320 most popular podcast in the world.
We're moving on up.
We're moving up. Don't Be So Brewed is brought to you by Etchus, the Specific Chiropractic Centers, and Red Light Media. Yeah, cheap plug.
Like really cheap plug.
I'm here with my bro host, Scott Zimmy Zimmerman.
What's up, everybody?
And I am Dr. B, a.k.a. Double B, a.k.a. Dr. Brown, whatever you want to call me.
How about Dr. Double B?
There we go. See, that's what I've got all the nicknames.
It's a good thing your last name didn't start with D.
Oh, it could have, though. There's a long
You could have
story.
been Dr. Double D.
We could
You would have been amazing. You know what kind of business you would have had?
Oh, man.
You'd have been the man.
I would be in the wrong profession, though. I'd have to go.
You might have to switch jobs.
Yeah, I'd have to switch jobs. Okay, guys. On today's episode, we are going to dive into a couple different things. We're going to talk about Robert Kraft and prostitution. We're going to talk about the Zion kid from Duke having some knee issues. We're going to talk about something that you're always willing to spend a little bit more money on. We're also going to talk about how we moved into a world where we're in extremes, like one extreme to the other. And then we're going to talk about something that makes you most on brand for who you are. So I'm going to let Scott kick us off here.
So as many of you probably saw in the news this week, both Kraft Foods and Robert Kraft are both down.
That was really cheesy, by the way.
That's
cheesy.
That's a Kraft pun, right? So, as many of you have heard, and if you haven't, then welcome to the real world, getting information from under the rock. Robert Kraft got busted in a prostitution ring at a massage parlor in South Florida.
Robert Kraft, by the way, for those of you who don't know, is the owner of the New England Patriots, the most successful franchise, arguably,
in the history of football.
In the history of football,
right? At least recently. So what do you
know
think about that, Dr. Double D?
Oh my gosh. You know there's conspiracy around this, right? So I don't know if you're probably not on Instagram a lot, but there's a page called Barstool Sports.
Yep.
Barstool has a guy that's their president that is a big Patriots fan. And
how big?
Real big. Double D big.
Double D big.
And he actually is in like a battle with Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL. They don't like him. Anytime he's gone to anything, they kick him out. They're literally like fighting off and on. And he's calling out that this is a Roger Goodell conspiracy, that he caused this to happen.
You know, I could see that. I mean, police sting. This guy just happens to be at that parlor. I mean, that's a little odd, wouldn't you think?
Well, can I just say that...
I mean, this is like new meaning to blowing up balls, you know? I mean, this is a whole nother level.
But I'm just going to say what I assume everyone is thinking right now, and that's the fact that this guy owns the Patriots, and he's a rich old white guy, and he's got lots of money. Why does this guy need to go to a massage parlor to get this done? Whatever was allegedly happening. This is all alleged, by the way. But why does he have to go...
You're saying, why can't he just get in-home delivery?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
If I'm Robert Kraft, and this is my type of thing, why aren't you... This is where they talk about John Jones. Why are you getting busted drunk driving? You have enough money to pay your best friend to say, when you hang out with me, you don't take a sip of alcohol, and you take care of me all night, and when I'm ready to go home, you drive me home.
I think there's one answer.
It's because Uber Eats doesn't deliver that.
And you can't fix stupid.
And you can't fix stupid.
Let me just introduce really quick our third member, first guest ever of the show. We're going to be letting him be known as the man behind the curtain.
I am the man behind the curtain.
A.K.A.
Zuul. I like how we did that together. That was really good.
That was unrehearsed, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect. So Zuul is the man that will remain faceless, just have a voice on here, and every once in a while, as you guys have probably already heard the last couple of episodes, he's just going to chip in his opinion, which we thoroughly appreciate. And we may also play a fun game with him later. We haven't decided. He doesn't want to play 20 questions, but we kind of want to play 20 questions to just guess what the man behind the curtain would say.
We're
Yes.
gonna do that because I've been questioned by police before. You guys aren't getting an answer from me.
We're not going to pat you down. We're just going to ask you a couple of questions.
I appreciate that.
Scott might pat you down. I mean,
Yeah,
I
he
wouldn't put it
will.
past him.
I can see that look in his eye.
Oh my gosh, you
So-
two.
So with this, with the massage parlor, I mean, even out here in Richardson and Dallas, I mean, you see plenty of those parlors where you can't see through the windows, like super dark tinted. You kind of expect that stuff is going on back there.
So I've actually watched a place get taken down, right? Like
While you were there.
no, I was at so at the CrossFit gym that I go to, there was one of these places that opened up next door. We would always see sketchy dudes going
Like a
in
separate
there.
door or going through the gym to get there?
No, dude, it's a
Separate
storefront.
door, okay.
It literally is its own. Like they bought the space, built it out, did all this stuff. But when you look up their website, it looks like one of these weird, like back page, weird massage websites. You're like, this is strange.
You're like, how many Yelp reviews do these guys have?
Yeah,
This is really bizarre. 300
Nobody
plus
ever goes
reviews.
over
They've been
there.
open a week. Like,
we
wow.
always see these sketchy dudes show up. So one day,
Like NFL player sketchy?
No,
or like,
no,
okay,
no, no. Just you
checking.
know what a sketchy dude looks like.
I do.
Sketchy, you know.
As
We're
he-
literally
as he looks at you.
Yeah, well, you know. You've looked in the mirror.
What a sketchy dude looks like.
You've looked in the mirror. You know what a sketchy dude looks like.
Like
Or
the
you
man
could-
behind
like
the
man
curtain.
behind the curtain. Zuul. With his horny hat over here. No one knows. See, I love all this stuff. Nobody knows.
That's right.
Okay, so just to finish up this story, we were at the gym.
Would you like to
next
finish
door.
up, Mr.
This
Kraft?
is God. You just
Go ahead.
See, guys, I can't even tell a story over here because Scott's got to tell a dick joke. Like, there's a dick joke hanging in the air. Scott's gonna grab it.
That's right.
See what I did there? Yeah.
True story.
So this is about 4:30 in the afternoon, still daylight outside, and we just see. I mean, I would like to consider it what looked like a SWAT team roll up. It's just Richardson police, but they're masked up and everything, and they all just come walking by. Like, this is the storefront. We have this window out here, and they just come walking by, and we're like, "That's weird." And you just see the cops like rolling by. They got guns out and everything. Next thing you know, they're walking these women out, handcuffed behind their back. We're like, "What the heck?" Like, looking it up, they got busted. And I mean, literally, they were.
So you're saying the police went to the massage? The police came to the massage parlor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you had to use that word, didn't you?
Yes.
Listen, they had just heard rumors of this. I'm sure they sent someone in as a sting.
Were they in there a while, or did they come right out?
No, it was quick.
Okay,
You're like,
it was
wow. You know, just the way you want it to be when you're at one of those places, in and out.
Quick and not on camera.
Yeah. I'm sure they sent in a guy for a sting. How do you get hired for that as your job? How do you tell your wife if that's your job? Like, listen, honey, they want me to go.
It's like, honey, I've got part of the job. I got to take one for the team.
I'm a public servant. I got to serve the public.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Is that
yeah.
something that you find like volunteers on Craigslist? Right.
Don't go on Craigslist anymore. Be smarter than that.
I'll try.
Make good decisions.
I'll try.
Okay. Anyways, I mean, I'll be interested. We might talk on this more. There might be other stuff that comes up. Like, I'd be interested to see, like, as this story teases out a little bit. I mean, you know how the hashtag fake news likes to run rampant. So it's like one of these things where we'll see and we'll figure it out. But in other news, let's go ahead and dive into the, whatever this kid's name is, Zion?
Yeah. Get over a Duke.
I don't know why I can't think of his full name because I've watched plenty of his ridiculous dunk videos on Instagram. Like this kid, and he wants to be a legitimate, well-rounded athlete. He's admitted, like, I'm working on that because he's known as a kid that is just a freak of nature and he can dunk like nobody's business. And he has this ridiculous celebration where after he dunks, he like runs around with his arms at his side.
He's one of these guys. I mean, he's one of the top prospects, if not the top prospect.
100%.
45 seconds into the game, boom, shoe blows out. I mean, have you ever seen anything like that before?
I've never
seen
well,
it.
especially not from Nike. I've never seen anything like that. Like, I feel like it's super rare. I mean, Nike put out a statement like, hey, we're looking into it. I'm like, yeah, isn't that like the CYA, the cover your ass of like, well I got to make sure, that we'll look into this. It's like, it was just own it. Like,
I think the cover your ass for Nike is like, no matter what it is, your brand, your product impacted the top ranked athlete in the country for basketball.
100%.
Right? So pretty much you got to get down and get the massage parlor going and be ready to do what it's going to take to make sure that this doesn't turn into a
100%.
public affairs nightmare.
And I think it turned into, like, I think I saw that he has knee sprain is what it came out to be. So it's one of those things.
So he got lucky.
Yeah, he got lucky for sure. No serious damage that we know of. It's one of those things that he'll have to take care of in rehab. But I think it's very interesting is what you talk about. It's, this kid played his first game and they're like, listen, this kid's looking number one to be coming out of college into the NBA draft immediately, because now you can't go directly into NBA. You have to play at least 1 year of college. And I think there's actually an interesting question that I want to ask from this, because I think it's DeMarcus Cousins is his name. He's an NBA athlete. And he said his opinion on the matter was he told Zion that he needs to look out for himself and figure out what he needs to do, because essentially what happens is those kids in college get used. He said the last time he looked it up, the last time North Carolina played Duke, I think it was like in the national champion or whatever it was, the seats were like $2,500 to $3,500 a seat, probably to get decent seats. I'm sure they were varying in prices.
Yep.
But it was one of those things where he's like, where does that money go? Who's getting that money? And he's like, listen, this is a short-lived thing. You've got to be looking out for yourself. So you've got to figure out what you do. So my question that I want to ask and see what your opinion is because this has come up a lot. I've seen it a couple times, and I was interested to dive into it of like, should college athletes get paid? Or do they already get paid? Because I see both sides of this argument.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides of it as well. I mean, I think the issue for me stems quite a bit deeper than just the athlete itself, right? So the athlete, you can make the argument that they're on a full ride scholarship, they've got everything taken care of, they play basketball in lieu of that. College tuition nowadays is going to, at a NCAA Division I school, we're talking, $30,000 to $60,000 a year
easily
for tuition, books, and everything else. And for an 18, 19-year-old kid, that's really not that bad in the grand scheme of things. You look at a regular company and you say, okay, somebody's in there making $100,000, but their return is 10 or 20x. Is it that much different? Where I've really got an issue is what it costs to go to these schools. Mm-hmm. It's outrageous, right? And again, where in fact does the money go? Because it's certainly not going to subsidize tuition. It may partially be going to pay teachers. It's definitely not going to pay the public school teachers that prepare these kids to get there. Mm-hmm. These are like massive businesses under the umbrella or shield of education.
Well, and you also know we've talked about the fact of like, depending on what you do, what's the ROI of going to college?
Yeah, I mean, it depends. In my opinion, it depends what. This is going to get people hot. I mean, in my opinion, it depends what you're going for. I mean, I think if you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, I mean, there's a level of education that absolutely has to happen.
Agreed.
90% of the people going through aren't going through for that. If you're going for liberal arts, what are you buying? The experience of living on your own, getting a couple grand a year from your parents to live, and you could do that on your own, go hold down a job and make it happen and get life lessons.
You're pretty much going to come up with nothing at the end of that.
Pretty well.
Liberal arts, come on.
Maybe. I mean, you either get lucky or you don't.
Well, right? It's the fact that you're having the college experience. Like that's where my thought process goes, is the fact that you're like, well, I got to have that college experience. I got to have
do that community college for about 25%.
All right. So here's a real insensitive statement. What's going to get you more experience and more know-how? The college experience or the single parent experience?
Single parent.
The single parent experience by far.
That's
There's
exactly
so much
right.
shit in that you're not even going to be prepared to handle.
But that means that when faced with a challenge, you can
work through it. And by the way, now you got to juggle a family and a earning.
Yeah, you're going to grow
potentially
up
an education
fast.
and potentially an education. But that's real.
No, that's 100% real. That happens a lot. Hello, I came from a situation like that. That was my mom.
So it tells me that success could still be had through other means.
100%.
Mike Rowe and the Mike Rowe Foundation, we're not associated with them yet. We'd love to be. But
hey, hit us up.
Hey, Mike. But they're looking at the vocations. I mean, when I was growing up, again, generational. Man, what is with all this generational? This is how you know you're getting old, right? You just know when I was
Scott just likes to talk about when I was a
kid. Let me tell you how it happened.
Because I'm so damn old.
So my dad was in the trades. And just like everyone else's parents, they want to see better for their kids than they did for themselves. So, in the 90s, it was like, you got to go learn computers. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I learned computers, and thankfully everything worked out pretty well. I mean, I really can't complain. but we've now got a trades gap. When you call a plumber to change a fixture at the house, it's $350.
Yep.
And it's like a 15-minute job and a $5 part.
Yep.
So that's like heart surgeon money. But that heart surgeon's not going to start making that kind of money until 15 plus years out of school. Right? Whereas you could go to a year and a half, 2 years of vocational school.
Because he's like $300,000 to $400,000 in debt.
Right. You become an apprentice, you work, you live at home, and you make it. And, within a couple of years, you become a master plumber. And then you got options. Like, I don't preach to go and, just go work for somebody else your whole life. I mean, I'm entrepreneurial, and I think that having a business and being able to run it and know the ins and outs is huge. So if you could learn a trade and you could go open a business and get people on and keep them educated and keep them interested, I think you can make more money than a doctor. I think you can make more money than a lawyer. I think you could, and you could have a good quality of life.
100%. I have a friend of mine. If she watches this, I hope you're watching this.
What's her name? How do we know?
Well, I'm not going to drop that. I'm just going to say the fact that she does hair for a living.
Okay.
And she makes 6 figures doing that. She makes more money than I do at this moment.
If you're good at what you do, you can make a lot of money. It doesn't matter what it is.
But there's
I know quite a few ladies out there and guys that are, doing heads and, hair.
Whoa. Are we back to the massage?
Back to the Robert Kraft story.
Zuul, we are past the massage parlor story. Are we back?
Well,
he is horny today.
Yeah, and I got corn dogs in the oven.
Oh, so yeah, come on.
That kind of got me thinking. But no, they're doing high fives. 6 figures.
Oh yeah,
easily.
And she. Let me also preface this. She busts her ass. I've seen her wear out assistants like nobody's business because she's like, I know what I'm doing. You go prep. You go grab me this, and she just stays where she's at, and she rock and rolls like stacks people on stacks people. Like she busts her ass. She works very hard. But it's exactly like what you're talking about. Her husband is a good friend of mine, a doctor in the specific. He did what I did. Listen, we took on a shit ton of school debt. People don't understand that sometimes. It's like, it's not like I'm out there just throwing this out. Like, hey, do you realize I got this bill stacking up back here that I got to make sure that I'm paying? But I get it. I'm making that, my coaches always help me look at that of like, listen, that was someone that was willing to take a chance on me. And I'm totally going to massively, exponentially go above that. That's where I see myself. It's why I took that risk. But I think in what you're talking about, like, and this is part of like the people that I let influence me. And like, I love Gary Vee's opinion on this, even though like I was a person that like, I don't get to choose whether I can go to school or not. But I think we have a shift that's occurring where it used to be ROI positive when you did that. You went to school. You came out, you had a degree, therefore you got a job, and then you were able to do whatever you wanted to. And now I think there's been a shift where that's not necessarily the situation anymore. There's been a change in that, and you see people that are, and listen, I get it, it's not every case, but you see people that are, I dropped out of high school, I did all this, I became a YouTuber, and now I make, millions of dollars, and I live in Los Angeles off of a YouTube channel.
Right.
How many of those do you find... percentage-wise, I bet you it's less than 1%.
Oh, for sure. There was a time where people jumped on that.
I'll be conservative and say less than 0.3%.
Oh, 100%. For that high, there are people that I've met that I'm like, wow, you make a living off of YouTube. I was quite surprised.
No, it's outstanding.
Your wife actually knows someone. She was telling me about.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, right? From a societal level. How do you change the norm? I mean, there can't just be a couple of us salmon swimming against the stream, right? We're swimming upstream, making it happen. You've got kids just like I do. Are you guiding them towards this predicted path that society and media has put forth? That you go to school, you go to college, you get a job, or do is there a risk in trying to change the game for the youth, right? So my kids are a little bit older than yours. I got a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. So the concept of college is coming. You go into these high schools, college banners all over the place, college, SAT prep, AP courses, college. Not that that's necessarily good or bad, but how do you break the cycle?
Well, the reality is that if you just get a high school diploma, you're not going to go anywhere. Everybody knows this.
But how do you know? I mean, is that the only piece?
Because history has taught us this, in recent history. So what happens is nowadays, and you take a look at technology now and everything that's going on. Let's go back, 25, 30 years.
Right.
At this point, now you have to have a college degree just to sit there and get an interview.
Just to be eligible to apply.
Just to get an interview. To sit in front of somebody.
At a corporation. Not at a small, medium-sized business.
Even then.
Not entirely. I would disagree with that.
What's the head count on this small? I mean, you could probably get away. You could probably get away with it, like 20 or 25, maybe 30.
You could be 5 to 100 people. Look at service industry. I don't think you need a degree.
No, not for service industry.
But vocational.
But you can get a high school degree to do that.
Like my argument there would be, instead of going through and taking all the liberal arts and all the nonsense, I want to go learn I want to be an accountant. Well, you need about 8 classes.
Sure.
Let's go take those 8 classes and let's go get to work.
Yeah, but service industry doesn't really count. You can do that with a high school.
So then wouldn't you actually say that the best thought process, which I've heard this from multiple different areas, and I actually agree with it, of going to say, if that's what I want to do, then let me find someone who's doing it super well. Ask them what you're saying. Listen, there's a base of knowledge that you need that you're going to achieve in like these 8 classes.
Right.
Cool. So you talk about what Zuul talked about. At a community college, you can get those for way cheaper than the majority of places. So you go do that, and then you go, okay, now I've got these, and I want you to teach me. So are you willing to go to that person? And this is one of the things
it's like an apprenticeship.
Yes. And this is one of those things that I struggle with for a while because,
But it goes back to, will it be accepted? Because it's not a degree. You're getting the pieces of knowledge you need. Just like when you do an internet search, right? You get the pieces of knowledge you need, you form an opinion, and you take an action. You don't search the whole internet. You don't say, hey, I got to read these 30 different books to get what I need.
Yeah, but with an apprenticeship, now you have experience, is ultimately what they're looking for.
But apprenticeship historically goes towards vocation, right?
Yes.
Internship, co-op goes towards corporate.
So I've got a random question for both of you, just because I think this is a funny way of looking at this, because I think there's standards that we set on this, but when you think about how we really work sometimes, that's just not how the game is played. So have you guys ever actually, being patients of mine, seen my diploma and know that I've graduated from a chiropractic school?
Yes, I know where it's hanging.
I could really care less.
And I was about to say, he's seen that and he knows. And I know there are some people who do that. That's why it's there. It's in the hallway. It was a big deal. Listen, I did a lot of stuff. We got it, framed it, all that stuff. But a lot of people never even know that. I remember that was going to be a big deal. I couldn't wait to hang that up. And I remember my coach being like, nobody's ever come in and been like, man, you have the most plaques on your wall. I want to be able to do business with you, or I want to be able to do this.
But dude, you're a doctor, right? I mean, I think there's.
But you don't think someone else can come in within? I've met plenty of people who have authority within what they're doing. Where I'm like, cool. I'm not going to ask you to whip out your accounting degree to show me that you can be my accountant.
Look, I mean, you go into the manager's office at a restaurant and they got a college degree hanging in the office. I mean, are you going to think any different?
I'm not going to think different either way. That's why I'm just
interested. He can be the manager, he can't. That's simple as that.
Yeah, that's why I'm just interested to see, because I had this exact discussion actually with your wife when she came in the other day, and she was talking about, I don't know about college. We're going back and forth on this. We're just not sure. And I'm like, listen, I'm in the same place because what makes the most sense for you? And I think it's being okay with the fact that you don't have to know what you want to do with your life at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, any of that. That's not necessarily always the case. And if you decide to make a change, which how many people do all the time, even sometimes when they're older than that, and hey, I'm going to make a shift and I'm going to go do this, what's wrong with that?
Well,
especially if it's what makes you happy and it's what you enjoy. You find that.
I totally hear you. You remember what we were talking about last week, right? How do you prepare your kid?
Yeah, 100%. Right?
So there's a couple of ways I look at this, right? Me personally, I don't think college is the answer for everything. Certain things, like I said, absolutely.
100%.
So the things that I see that I want to see my kids prepared for are, one, I want to see them get some sales training, right after high school's done, or even maybe senior year. I want to get them some sales training, because whether they go into direct sales, whether they go into a corporation, whether they go into the vocations, wherever they go, they're going to need to be able to sell themselves, to sell an idea, to sell a product.
I don't disagree with that.
I'm going to one this weekend.
Good, right? I mean, I think it's a critical skill. It is not taught in school. Yet most people out there today, 2019, you know more salespeople than you know anything else. Mm-hmm. No degree to be successful in sales.
Can I ask why we're not taught how to do taxes when we're in school?
Because the tax code changes every year and so on.
But still, why aren't you at least given a basis of understanding of how to do shit?
They don't listen.
It's a conspiracy. If they taught you how to work the money, they'd realize that you were getting screwed paying for tuition. It'd be a mess
now, guys.
But I mean, so if you
they
think
don't even talk to you about your checkbook. You're talking taxes.
I know. I'm like, but this is one of those things. Like, another day that I went by and I didn't use algebra. Oh shit!
But it goes back to it goes back to what are they preparing us for, and what do we need our next generation to be prepared with, right? So from the sales training to then look at you, right? You could end up being a full-blown chiropractor. Mm-hmm. The podcast and media thing could go over, and in 10 years from now, you could be running a marketing agency.
Don't be surprised if I'm not.
Right? It could definitely happen.
Oh, I love stuff like that. I agree.
Right? So let's see, what would the next path be? So after you get your sales training, you know how to pitch and you know how to sell yourself, the next thing is business principles. How do you run a business? Right? You need some accounting, you need some marketing, you need a little bit of advertising. I'm thinking 4 to 6 classes of, here's some stuff that you could do. Now you kind of know how to sell yourself. You know how to possibly sell a product. You know possibly how to sell an idea. You kind of know how to run a business. What do you want to do? Now we got to get skills, right? Do I want to go sell a product that sells itself? That's pretty easy, right? Do I want to go sell a service? Do I want to be a doctor and do I want to be a chiropractor and sell this service and help and heal people? Is that my calling?
He's talking like too much damn sense over here, though. I'm like, I totally get
but it's
that,
totally logical. It's
building something.
Well,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, my point is, hey, listen, you know this.
Huh?
You know this. Why aren't you being the first one, front line, stepping up and going, hey, listen, when my kid comes up and it figures out what's going on, I'm going to start. Hey, here's a first block.
And this is exactly where I'm at. This is the stuff that I lay out that I want, because I'm like, you need to have exposure to this.
Yeah, no, listen, and what better place to come from than, hey, listen, my dad, hey, he runs a shop. Mm-hmm. He has his own business. He's doing this.
He built it from nothing. We've seen it happen.
Yeah.
He succeeded. He failed. He learned. He grew. I mean, you can't grow without failing.
Man.
So
it's on you.
Well, that's exactly right. Because otherwise they're going to be in the pack with the rest of the fish,
not knowing what the hell's going on.
Just keep swimming, right? I mean, that they're all stuck and they can't get out.
But why do you think everybody's on this path of like, who am I? What do I offer? What do I do? Why do people always want to take these personality quizzes and all these things? Like, this is another fascination that I have, because people want to understand and know themselves better. So then they're like, oh, I think this is me. Versus if I can help you get an understanding of that as soon as possible, and then you grow through these things that you're talking about.
I think it's
doesn't that set you up for success? Even if you say, I do want to go to college?
To a degree, yeah. I mean, I think it's insecurity why people do those types of surveys.
100%.
Or just sheer curiosity. Maybe the other 2%, right? I mean...
I think it might be a little bit more balanced, but yeah.
It is, but like for me... Like, I understand what they're doing with the information they capture. I understand what's happening. I understand it markets differently to me. I mean, I choose not to do it. A, I kind of know who I am. B, I don't need to be specially marketed to and become susceptible. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to keep rolling. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to.
I don't want this to get boring. I'll just start rambling.
No, I think this is actually a really good thing, and I think we could dive into it more. I would actually love to have some people on that want to throw in.
We should bring the topic up when we get some visitors on the show.
I think last week's and this week's are a couple that you could still flesh out a little bit, and we could see kind of how that goes.
So get some ideas. Let's get a plan together.
So the next question, Scott, that I'm going to ask you, I did this on my Facebook, and I like to bring some of these on here because I think they're fun because the feedback is great. So the question is, what is something that you're always willing to spend more on? You're not willing to scrimp on that. You're like, nope, I like to have the good stuff.
For me, I would say, well, obviously cars. I mean, you knew that was coming, right?
Yes.
But let's go off the obvious, right? I would say preventative medicine. And what I mean by that is I would, and you wouldn't know this by looking at my gorgeous shape. Round is a shape. Don't forget, people.
Truth.
I mean, I want to stay well. I'd rather choose to spend my money going to a yoga class, having a gym membership and actually going when I, get time to do that, eating better, things that would, again, like one of your segments you do is like, how do I stay out of the doctor's office? That type of stuff, even working with Dr. Brown as a patient, I went in and, I think we could both comfortably say, like, I didn't exactly need it. I wasn't in horrible shape, but I knew and understood what the practice was and how it worked and how that would further my wellness, and since then I haven't really gotten sick. Another thing, I've got a friend who I think we're going to try and get on the show. Her name is Sarah Clark. She has a company called, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, it's either Sorcha or Sorcha Holistics, SORCHA.com.
Sorcha.
She makes the most amazing elderberry syrup.
Ooh.
Okay, now you can go buy this stuff at Sprouts for
everyone's
$9 or $12.
Everyone's ears just perked up really quick on here.
Everybody's feeling better.
I've heard of that.
Even Zuul's horns are standing straight up, right? But her stuff is freaking amazing. And when she first told me about it, I was like, all right, this is some hokey stuff. Sounds great. And I tried some from Sprouts, and I was like, all right, that's pretty good. And then I finally tried hers. And oh my fucking God. Amazing. So here's a scenario. Get up, throat's bothering me. Not really sure what to do. I've got this syrup in the kitchen. 1 teaspoon. By the time I was done swallowing that teaspoon of elderberry syrup, sore throat was gone. I had like a little hit, and it wasn't like a drug hit, but it was like I could feel like just I got like a boot, like a 5-hour energy shot. Just like it hit me, but I felt good.
So was this her stuff that you're talking about when you use this?
This is her stuff.
So well,
let me finish. That same morning, my daughter comes in. Dad, my throat's scratchy. I don't think I want to go to school. It hurts.
Did he just have a Freudian slip there? Did you catch that?
What did I say?
You said scrotum.
Did I really?
Yes.
Wow.
Guys, hit him in the comments with the scrotum. I cannot believe.
Don't hit me. Don't hit me with the scrotum, please.
Oh yeah, hit him with it.
So
hit him with it. Wow.
So once again, we gave her a teaspoon. Instant. She was like, "Wow!" Like she didn't believe it. She was like, "Really?" And
now
I'm
get
like,
your ass to school.
Yeah,
that's right. Call me in 4 hours. We'll come up. We'll give you another teaspoon.
Exactly.
But just amazing. And then I started looking it up online and seeing what all the health benefits are. And it's not the cheapest stuff in the world. It's not the most expensive. But if you can get something that's reasonably priced, that's gonna help you feel better and help you fight off, sickness. Like the one we had was a cold and flu, but she also has an allergy varietal. So we're going to try that next because I struggle with allergies.
So just to say something on top of that is like the way that you worded that, and I have to deal with this all the time of like looking at it as an expense. I'm like, well, first of all, you only get one shot at this and you only get one body. So be aware because just be aware of what you're buying and the quality of that product and the other crap that can be in it and all of that stuff because you are 100% worth the investment of what you're making. I mean, there's never a time that I've invested in myself and I'm like, man, that was dumb. Like I've always learned something or taken something or whatever it is, whether it's in business, whether it's in that. Because it was funny that you mentioned that because I've heard a lot about this and just because I try to take care of myself as best I can. I don't get sick a lot, but I did get sick this year, obviously, because business was stressing me out and other things in life and I had stuff going on and that stuff affects your health. And I got a really bad sore throat and I just was like, I've got my whole protocol that I go through and I was at Sprouts and I was like, well, I'm going to get some of this elderberry syrup because I know everyone talks about it. I've read on it a little bit, but I'm not going crazy. I let the people like her be the one who knows stuff about that. But I went damn near through like the whole bottle that I had in like a couple like 2 or 3 days and it didn't do shit for me. But I also think it was because of the product. Like I would have to try her stuff. I honestly think that's what it is I believe in the efficacy based on what you're getting. Like, I got a Flintstones gummy and I got, the stuff that's like top of the line.
So for her, what I'd like to do, not just bringing her on the show here, but, a lot of this podcast is about networking and building business relationships. I think you guys need to get together and you need to market a taste test.
Okay.
Have her come out to the office. bring people in, talk to them about the benefits of chiropractic, talk to them about the benefits of elderberry, and let them try it and see how they feel.
Love it.
And maybe we just specifically target people that just aren't feeling 100% today.
I'll bring the
Come
bourbon.
on in,
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll bring the bourbon.
just in case other
And,
stuff doesn't
and
work.
listen,
No,
we can have
you gotta wash it down.
That's exactly right.
we can have
It tastes good, though.
elderberry samples, and then we can have adjustment samples, and I'll adjust them and you'll adjust them, and they can pick out which one was.
I like
People be
it.
like, I ain't signing up for that.
I like it. That
Oh
totally
my gosh. Okay, so to answer my answer to this question, by the
Yeah.
way, the one that I threw out because I put this on Facebook, the first thing that came to my mind, and me and my wife are having this discussion, is toilet paper. I'm not willing, because I was actually pretty impressed with how deep you went on your answer of like, oh, well, I care about, paying for things that take care of my health. For me, it was like some of the stuff that I think about of like, I don't like buying cheap toilet paper.
You just like to have your ass clean.
Yeah, I like to have nice toilet paper. I hate when I have to go somewhere where I'm like, oh, the stuff that you get at a Target or a Walmart or any restaurant. You're
So,
like,
so
oh,
what's
this is
your
great.
toilet paper of preference? Are you a Charmin guy? Are you a Scott guy? Or
You know what? Whatever doesn't give me a punch through where I'm getting a Hershey's kick,
Exactly.
I'm cool.
Thank
about
you.
it.
See, and I think it's Quilted Northern that we do. There's a couple different brands. It's just like depending on price, and we're looking at them, just like whatever's reasonable. But I can look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good one.
like I
that's
kind of
what we'll
want to
get.
know when I'm done wiping. Not that it's like so soft and you're not sure if you're catching any more or not. You know, like it's got there's a balance.
By
there.
the way, the wet wipes.
Did you grab me one of those?
The wet wipes are where it's at. If you don't know about that life, if you've never been there, if you're tired of having an itchy butthole, you should try it out. Oh, don't be so brewed.
Cheers.
Zuul!
I am Zuul.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Thank you, lady behind the curtain. See, we got the man behind the curtain. We also have the lady behind the curtain. You don't know about her yet, though. Don't ask about that.
She wears the pants.
Yeah, you're not ready.
Yeah, but I still have the cock.
No!
Oh, bada bang! Another craft joke.
No, so I thought there were some interesting answers on this. Some answers that I got from other people were like, "Hey, I don't, cut back like when I'm buying shoes. I like to make sure I get nice shoes." Sheets was one that I heard. Like, hey, whenever I'm getting sheets, I like to make sure I get nice ones. Coffee was one. I'm definitely on board with that. I don't see the purpose in having coffee that tastes like crap.
I'm not a big.
That's-
Yeah, no, I
I think
can
it's also
understand
preference.
that.
Like if you're a coffee person or if you're not. Like I'm like I know now I've had enough coffee where I'm like I like to have good coffee.
I mean, life is too long to not enjoy some nice stuff, right? I mean, I'm going to go back to the health benefits again because when you and I visited and you told me what the cost of care was going to be, it kind of it took me back a little bit. And I was like, whoa, okay, and I got to thinking, and the one thing that you said that was quite compelling was, I think I said, hey, it's like a car payment, right? And you responded back saying, well, yeah, but you only get one body, right? And in reality, you only get one life. So you might as well enjoy it because you don't know when it's going to wrap up.
You know what the funny thing is? We sat there and I was in his office, obviously, and I was in a bad way. But he comes up because I'm pacing and I'm listening. And he says, well, we can do this, that, and the fourth thing. Here's the number. And I'm just turned around and I'm like, hey, listen, if this thing is going to work, I looked around, I talked to the wife. I said, you know what? Pay the man. I said, pay the man.
100%. That's my favorite part of the spreadsheet.
Zuul
Pay the man.
is
Pay
like
the man.
sitting there. He's like, there's no tint on the windows. People could see in. This must be legit.
It's legit. I turned around and I said, you know what? Pay the man.
He's the only chiropractor that we go into that you got to bend over to get your service done.
No, I'm not the only one. 100%. We got plenty of offices.
There's
that
another
make
guy
you
in
do
Fort
that.
Worth.
It's a long drive for that one.
You want to know what's funny is it's so funny now that we have this podcast because you just reminded me telling me that story because you came to the office. I think it was the class that I had going on and you showed up and I was super appreciative of that. And then we were just talking about stuff and I remember you gave me shit about my price and I went home and I was talking to my wife and she asked me how it went and I'm like, it was good. But then like when he just asked how much it was, I told him and he was just like, that kind of seems like a lot. And I was like, and she's like, God, I hate when people do that. Now look. And it ended up obviously not even being an issue. Like that's the cool thing about that. And you're talking about one of the biggest discussions I have with people. And you want to talk about preparing, going way back to our subject before, like being prepared. Like that was the toughest thing for me in the beginning. Is like, this is how much it's going to cost. and then I get to sit here and be quiet and deal with the uncomfortableness of like you running things in your head and doing all that stuff, and I've just got to wait. And I'm like, I'm just gonna let you like figure that out. And so, as someone in a new business doing things like that or doing that, I'm sure for you, like when you're pitching a thing or somebody's like, hey, we need 50 of these, whatever would it be, and you're like,
right.
You know, how do I?
And you got to price it. You don't want to lose a client. Mm-hmm. You want the work, but you don't want to do it for nothing.
100%.
Everybody's got bills to pay. Everybody deserves to make a buck.
And I think this is an interesting segue that goes into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, because this is even something that we talk about of like, don't, like with our pricing structure, listen, I'm not the cheapest for sure, but I'm not the most expensive. We're just amongst kind of that higher end. Like I get that, but
it's a different solution. Like,
but I also say that my results speak for themselves. I mean, the stories that are
they do. But your biggest struggle, in my opinion, is you're classified as a quote unquote chiropractor, right? But your service is so much different.
You have that stigma that because you have that name there.
It's like the antithesis, though, of what you would typically
100%.
expect.
But then I look at these people, I'm like, okay, how much did you spend on drugs last year? You know, for your problem. And then this guy's going to sit there and get you squared away. And you know what? For me, I don't even take anything. I wasn't taking a whole lot before. I'm not taking anything now.
But even if it's a maybe,
and
who cares,
dude? And my activity just went through the roof now. I'm back to almost where I was before.
Oh yeah, he texts me all the time. He's like, "Hey, walk 3 miles. This is my time. Did 2 miles. It was 18 minutes. All this stuff. Like, it's awesome." And I think it's interesting that you bring that up, because that's one of those things that we're constantly trying to overcome with what they're, with the explanation of what we're doing and how we're different, but how it works, because that's obviously the goal is to be able to get people to understand that. That's why we do, what we do. But I'm interested in this from another standpoint of like, are we moving into a world where we're getting into extremes? Because I feel like we have this, either it's got to be the most crazy, ridiculous thing that I can put on my Instagram and post this thing up, or it's got to be like the cheapest thing ever. Like, that's what I want. The example that I'll give you is Nokia, which is, I mean, I can't really say until they fail, but I think it's really dumb now to be trying to get into the phone game, but maybe it's time for somebody else to try to bring themselves back in. So Nokia is trying to get back into the phone game with a Nokia 9 whatever something. It has 5 cameras on the back of it.
You know who's not going to be getting one of those? Robert Kraft.
But what if he does?
Then he'll get busted again.
Yeah, but what if he has to go to prison and that's the easiest thing to keister in?
He might even get busted on Uber Eats.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
For somebody eating his corn dog?
That's exactly right.
Corn dog reference, episode 1. Cheers.
From 5 different angles.
Yeah, I don't think Kraft has to worry about anybody, or actually having cameras. He's got plenty of them following him.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think
you can't do anything without people knowing if you're that guy?
Do you think it's a matter of us moving to extremes, or do you think it's always kind of been there?
Maybe we're just more aware of it now. In the
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah.
I mean,
I think it is a bit of both.
You've got with your reference of technology, you've got the concept of Moore's Law, which talks about the exponentiation of technology and how rapidly advanced we're going to get.
That's the one where it talks about everything becomes basically like it serves no purpose within like 3 years or something, right?
Pretty much the intersection of man and machine, where one takes over the other. But it's there. I mean, the rate at which these phones are improving. When I was a kid, right?
Scott's
think about it. I mean,
that was 2 tin cans and a string, man.
Right? Like, hello, can anybody hear me?
Hello.
Take another step over here.
Right, but I mean, when you were looking at you went from Commodore, right, to x86 to 286 to 386 to 486 to Pentium, and so on and so forth. Every year, I mean, they were getting better, but they weren't leaps and bounds like they are today, right? Like one phone to the next. I mean, they're so advanced they can't even put anything like really amazingly new in anymore. Like the Samsung's now got a flip phone that's a flip screen.
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, like, wow. Make sure you buy the insurance policy on that one.
Yeah, big time.
Ooh.
I think the only way they can sit there and make a, for lack of a better word, quantum leap on these phones is to start bringing up 3D now. I mean, literally, that's the only thing that's left.
Yeah. It certainly can be.
And I get it. They're always trying to push that, and it's all these things, and it's this, and it's like what you're talking about, but it's pretty much become that. We went into a world where phones had to get small, and then they got big again. That became the thing where you had to get... So I get that we go through cycles and trends, but I mean, to get back to what you were talking about, like maybe it is one of those things where in today's day and age, we're just more aware of those things and we see them more often.
I think it's been there. I think it's just what's happening right now, right? And how is it advancing so quickly? I mean, even the automobile, like, talk about extremes, like a Chevy Suburban loaded out right now costs almost $75,000. $75,000 for a truck.
When the hell did that happen? I'm like, you can't go out there and buy like a little Kia for less than like, well, a decent one. I mean, you can get a rubber mat.
You got to realize something.
You can get a wind up rubber mat one for like maybe I don't know, $10,000.
Well,
I know he rides a Kia, but his isn't a rubber mat wind up either.
Right.
That's okay.
But I mean, like
point A to point B, you don't have far to walk.
Look, even just a family.
100%.
Look, any family vehicle. I mean, you're in the $30,000 range right now to get a well-equipped, nice car that you might want to, drive more than 50 miles.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. I mean, a bunch of years ago, you get in at $18,000, $20,000.
No, that's a shit ton of money is what the technical term is.
Oh, 100%.
And now you got the convergence with technology, so even buying the used vehicle, you can't use your new phone that you bought, right?
Yeah,
because the CarPlay or the Droid thing doesn't work.
You got to get a thing that converts it.
Some cars convert, some cars won't. Everybody wants the interaction with the screen. It's
I just want to drive
what
the
it
damn
once
thing.
was.
100%.
It's not what it once was.
I'll let my navigator, interact with the damn car.
Yeah,
look
exactly.
at stuff.
So I'd almost go to say, is it extremes or is it just natural cycles of evolution in today's age?
It's a bit of both.
Potentially. I think there's just a lot of ridiculous stuff that comes out nowadays for the gram, for the Instagram, for the older gentleman that I have here with me.
But it's all attention, right?
Oh, 100%.
It's all attention.
Look at me.
Here's a $10,000 burger. Here's a whatever, here's pizza with gold flakes on it. Here's
I'll tell you straight up, like we sit there.
It's not good.
I sit there, you sit there, you look at these posts you make, right? And from behind the curtain, you don't really know what the gauge is, right? You see the metrics from Facebook, you see the metrics from Instagram, and how do you really quantify it? The things I see don't translate into likes and shares and all that online. It's all the people like myself that are sitting there scrolling through. They're aware of what's going on. They're not taking the time to click the like. But when you see them out in public, hey, how's the podcast going? Hey, how's that just going? Hey, how's this going? Hey, how's that going? And they're asking questions. It's like, oh, all right. Throw a fucking like once in a while. It's okay. Like, it's not going to hurt anybody.
Well, it's be social on social. That's the thing. It's like, use it for that, not just like, hey, did you guys see this new thing that I got? Did you whatever? Did you?
I'm going to give you a tip of the day. It's not called stalker media. It's called social media. Engage people. Engage. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Depends on who you ask.
And Scott's hot tip.
And there's the title for this podcast.
Oh my
it's not stalker media. It's social media.
Social media. I like it.
Okay, so moving into what I'll
producer says 2 thumbs up.
Moving into what I will call our last topic, and then
hands,
and then we'll attempt to get some of these questions answered that you have. You've got those, right? So the last topic I want to talk about, and I'll kind of explain this and kind of tease this out so it makes sense, is I want to talk about like what is the most on-brand thing you did as a child. So what I mean by on-brand is something that you did as a kid that then set you up in life that basically makes you the person that you are. And then the example that I'll give for me, and this was something that I just looked up on Twitter and I read, and I was pretty fascinated by the thought process. And I remember back to like 2nd or 3rd grade in school, and they would always give you these little, what is it, the little crafts where it's like, here, Scott, here's this paper bag, and cut these things out, and then glue them here, and then do this, and then look, you have this little brown paper bag puppet. And
you weren't a sock puppet guy, I take it.
Well, it was any of that stuff. It was just these random things, and like
what that is? That's elementary school honey-do list.
Yeah, it's busy work.
Yeah, and I'm I'm not into that.
It was busy work, and so what sets me up as like who I am now is if I don't understand the purpose of why I'm doing something, I won't do it.
What happened? To what end? That's what I want to know.
Oh, that's the problem. Is like
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, I just got to know what the purpose is. Whoever it is, if
I
they
totally
lay it out,
get
I'm
it.
like, that makes sense to me. I'm like, game over. I'll get that done. No problem. It's done. Consider it done. But for me, what happened was every time she would give one of those out, I would wait till she wasn't looking, and then I would cram it in the top drawer of my desk. And they weren't like drawers. It was open, but I would just... And then one day I would start kind of doing it, and she would not look, and I would be like... And I would just put it in there. Well, one day she comes over, and she sees paper hanging out of my top little drawer, and she's like, what is this? And she starts pulling these things out.
Party favor.
These things out. And she's like, oh my God. And she's so upset. And then, of course, when it's I can imagine as a parent, your kid was not doing this. But now I look back and I'm like, yeah, because you didn't tell me. To me, that made no damn sense, lady. So why am I going to do that? And I'm still so much that person today where it's like, hey, can you... And it's just why? Why would I do that? To me, even if I'm going to do something, it has to have a process. It has to have, even with this...
You need purpose.
Zuul has helped us kind of put this together and orchestrate the podcast a little better. But for me, it's I get that. That makes sense. I'll have a system in place to make this thing work. Consider it done. I'll get that done. But if there's no reason to doing it, if it's just hey, move that shit over there just to move that and then move it back, well, that was dumb. I'm not going to do that.
No, that's stupid.
I'm out.
I'm wasting energy. Why?
100%. Do you have a story like that? Did you ever have anything that you're oh yeah, that's totally me?
Man, not anything full blown amazing. I mean, when I look back to that age, I struggled probably more with interest, I guess. I think my parents would attest. I mean, I was not a good student. The fact that I turned out as decent as I did as a person is probably more of a miracle than anything any of you have ever seen. But I struggled with...
That's called black candles and goat's urine. Somebody enchanted that one.
It might have happened. I mean,
coming from horny Zuul over here.
There's probably a doll somewhere that had some needles taken out. I don't know. But... I look at it.
There was a ritual involved.
There was. I mean, I look back. I hated reading. Unless it was something I was just really interested in. So when I got some boring novels and shit like that, I mean, I would wander. I couldn't get through Shakespeare, but being a Jewish guy, when I got into a Holocaust literature course, I mean, it was the most fascinating thing ever, and I aced the class. Being a car guy, I'd get these Motor Trends and Car and Drivers back in the day, and I'd go through them cover to cover, no problem. I could have told you anything that was going on the road.
Sure, firing sequence.
But if I'm reading something that's not interesting, man, that's sleepy time. It's it's not going to happen.
So were you super curious and very questioning as a kid? I'm curious.
No. I just kind of took, things are what they are.
Okay.
Even today, I don't sit there and question everything. I sit there and say, hey. Or, my train of thought right now is, are we doing this because this is the way we've always done it? Or are we doing this because it's the right way to do it?
I like that question, as I just explained. That's a great question.
I mean, I practice that at work, and I practice that in life, and it just keeps everything in perspective for me.
I like it. I'm just curious, knowing you, and I know how you like to, well, why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this? Why do we do this? It just seems... So I was interested to see if,
Look, there's things you're going to have to do in life that you don't want to do that you just got to do. I mean, 100%. I've had my bosses pop in on me at 4 o'clock on a Friday and Lumberg me and be like, hey, we got this stuff we got to get done. And you know what? At the time you got a pretty good gig and you do what you got to do. I mean, you're not going to sit there and be like, hey, man, I'm going out drinking tonight and I don't really want to do this bullshit work.
Yeah. That hole ain't going to dig itself.
You suck it up and you get it done and you say, yes, exactly. Sir, I'll get it done and I'll get it done as quick as I can. And
I'll take care of this.
You let me know if there's anything else you need.
Hey, Zuul, you got any statements about anything that makes you on brand as a kid? I mean, you kind of mentioned something earlier.
No, it's not really on brand. I mean...
You said you still like fire.
I do still like fire. Even to this day.
He's a pyromaniac.
I'm a recovering pyromaniac. Yes. At a major city, I burned 4 buildings down as a kid, just because I loved seeing fire.
And you didn't work at a construction company?
No, I did not. No. And all of this before I was 10. So yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Seems on brand. I'll make sure I don't hand you a lighter at the office.
I'll bring my own matches.
Lighters. Have you seen those propane torches that
oh
sound
God,
like
yeah.
jet engines? I mean, I could see
Dude,
him running around with that.
Dude, I smoke cigars. I got a 4-torch. I'm
Zool,
are you kidding?
Zool, I've got some weeds that need getting lit.
I got a guy on that.
I got a tool
Wait
for
a
it.
minute,
I'll let you touch it.
Was that like a? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were legitimately meaning some.
So since we've got Zool on the hook here,
No, he's not.
If he just stays silent, I'm just gonna guess and see if I can upset him with my answer.
do you want to take the first guess and then we'll look over and see if he's got
I mean, just
an
throw out
answer?
the question and we'll see if he'll.
All right, what is Zool's middle name? Gatekeeper.
Fire.
Wow, we can't even get the lady behind the curtain to give it.
Okay. He doesn't want to give it up?
I'll give it up.
Is there one?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Officially, yes.
Officially. All right. First car.
Mustang 2.
Scott just got real horny over that one.
No, I really didn't. And he knows why. He had one. Favorite city.
I love San Diego.
You do love San Diego. They know some good places in San Diego.
I do.
You more of a meat guy or a vegetable guy?
Seriously, you got to ask?
Hey, people want to know.
Dude, wrap anything in bacon makes it better.
So celery,
Have you ever
celery wrap bacon?
What I was about to say, have you not ever followed this guy on Facebook? But no one here has because they don't know. But I'm like, this guy's posting. Look at this burger with a steak with a whatever on top.
You could wrap a turd in bacon and it's good.
Sweet. Charmin extra bacon.
Yes.
Charmin extra bacon.
Well, you got to get the lotion in there somewhere.
You got to get the turd out. You know what I mean? You're not going to use a Bounty towel to pull it out, even though it won't break.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
All right. Ever been arrested?
No.
Wow, impressive.
I've been detained several times.
I've been
You know what that
detained.
means? He's never been caught. Favorite color?
Red.
First place you ever worked?
My mom's kitchen.
Like that was like a legit kitchen, or she just said, "Hey, if you want to live here, you got to help me in the kitchen."
No, if you know my mom, it's a legit job.
Okay.
She walks in, you're 10 years old. She says, "Hey, you're cooking for 9 tonight." Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
What do we
ma'am.
have?
I love it. First video game you ever played?
The Atari basketball thing.
Right on.
Oh, actually, you know what? The Pong game.
Pong. Love
It was a Pong.
Planes, trains, or automobiles?
The
For
movie.
what exactly? I've done
What's
all
your
of them.
preference? What's your
Oh,
travel
that.
preference?
I'm like, again, for sexual, I mean,
Yes.
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 trains for the sex, getting there, the airplane, automobiles, just day to
It's too
day.
dangerous in a car, right?
I did it on a motorcycle. I mean, I don't know.
I guess that's more dangerous than a car. So what is it about the trains?
It's the motion, the clacking. It's a rhythm thing.
Like you don't got to push; it just happens by
No,
itself.
it's a rhythm
Kind of
thing.
bumping
Yeah.
around.
It's a rhythm thing.
Is that a luggage car thing or a bar car or
No, it's a rhythm thing.
bathroom?
Especially on the old tracks. Yeah, it's a rhythm thing.
Okay. Last show you binge watched?
Game of Thrones.
Yes.
How'd you like it? Was that good?
Oh, it's still the best.
My man. Come on.
Well,
Love
actually,
it.
before that one, Black Sails, I binge watched, and that was awesome.
Favorite beer?
All of them.
I was in my head. I was like, I'm gonna guess.
He's an
Dude,
equal opportunity alcoholic.
No, I brewed for over 25 years. I'm like, are
Yeah,
you kidding me?
I was
You're
gonna
asking
say-
me to.
Well, don't be
You
so
should-
brewed. Tell me,
You've seen the stuff in his garage.
Is there a favorite style that you like? Are you a stout guy, a brown guy, or
I love my stouts. I'm a porter guy. I mean, I like them all for certain reasons.
okay?
Depends on the weather out, the temperature, time of year.
That's how you know a good connoisseur because it all just depends on like, give me the situation.
I'm like, yeah, you know what?
Situation.
You come in after February. I'm looking for my May box. I'm like, stop.
I got you. Favorite bourbon?
Ooh,
See, that's not on all of them.
yeah.
All have different
I'm
qualities.
yeah. I like them all, but big fan of the Makers. Maker's Mark.
You know, I had some for the first time in a while last week.
It's
It
pretty
was a
yummy.
lot better than I remember it being.
Yeah, it's pretty yummy.
Favorite charity?
I have several I will not bring up.
That you won't bring up.
I won't bring up.
Okay.
I think it would give away too much information. That's
Yes.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
It might. It might. How'd you name your business?
It's pretty simple. I mean, stuff just comes to me. I mean, you talk to B. I just come up with stuff. I have a
So
camera.
let's just-
I have a camera there, and there's a red light that's on when the business is on. And
Is that
when
what that is?
Yes, and when the business is not on, the red light's not on. So it just made sense to me. It's like, you know what, red light media. Boom, done.
And let's just give
That's when
some.
I'm working. That's when I'm on.
Let's just give some credit here because I got an idea that I wanted to do for. You were talking about earlier where I give people tips. It's called Apple a Day. Do you know where Apple a Day came from?
Gary.
It came from Zuul.
Zuul.
Zuul was the one that I told the idea, and he goes, "Well, you know what you should call that because they always talk about an apple a day keeps the doctor away." And he's like, "You should do something." And I was just like, "Boom, money, game over."
I thought it was an apple a day keeps the teacher away.
No, an apple day brings the teacher to you.
Yeah, you take your teacher. You take,
Take your teacher to the apple.
You
You take your teacher to the apple.
You take your teacher an apple, but you eat one a day to keep the doctor away. Apparently, I don't know where that came from.
Eat a teacher or eat an apple?
Well, I mean that depends. Is she hot?
I don't know.
You probably do both, just in case. I mean,
All right.
If you let her eat the apple first, maybe you'd be all right.
Listen here, guys. So I hope Scott's ready for this. In closing,
All right, we've got a public service announcement. Folks, remember, just like a small penis, a little bit goes a long way.
I'm Dr. Brandon Brown, and I approve this message. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe to the podcast.
Tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us if you want to come on and talk about something cool. Let's do it.
Phenomena. Phenomena. Phenomena.